Do you buy another RC?
Okay guys, I got to get out of here. Welcome back guys. Next up on RC 5150 we have the FMS FJ-40 Land Cruiser. So let's get this open and see what we've got inside. Alright, let's see if we can get this out, otherwise I might have to, looks like it's put in there upside down, so I'll have to tip it I think. Let's bring this over like that. Okay, so look at that. Looks pretty cool. I got the blue one. I did want to get the yellow, but that was sold out, and this was on a special deal on eBay with a discount code, so too good to pass up. So I have seen a few reviews of these things. Box is sealed, which is always good. I like it when I get a sealed box that doesn't look like it's been opened. It gives me more confidence that there's not going to be any problems. So let's have a look at some of the features. It tells us here it's a 339mm wheelbase, which yeah, it's a pretty decent size. I've actually heard that from people that have these that they kind of look bigger than a 110, but this is supposed to be a 110. 82mm on the clearance, which is great. Although this is never going to be a crawler, it's still good to know that it's got good ground clearance. In regards to the axle width, from center tire tread to center tire tread, 194mm, and then it's 268mm in terms from each mirror width from either side, and in height 326 high. So when you think about it, an average 510 crawler is 313mm wheelbase, so it's very tall. I mean, obviously that's up to the roof rack, but it's very tall, which means that it's going to be top heavy. Have seen a few guys take out the roof rack. I'm kind of reluctant to do that because then you got holes in the roof, and I don't want to start messing around too much with it. My plans for this is basically to change the motor and ESC out, because I've got a Hobbywing Fusion to drop in here, Fusion SC. I might put in a leaf spring kit because I know they're available, and it would, I think, look nice. I've actually got some oil shocks to go in because these are just friction shocks. But in terms of the wheels, I might change them because I've got a whole bunch of different wheels sitting around. Might change the rims and the tires out as well, but other than that I'm just going to leave it as is, I think, and just enjoy it for what it is. So let's get this thing open and see what's inside. Alright, so I guess the first thing to do is cut away our tape. Now I think I'll just undo one side and slide it out. Let's see if it works. This box kind of reminds me a little bit of the MJX style box, which is, oh, there's a manual that just popped out, so that's what comes with that. We'll have a look at that in a second. But yeah, as I was saying, the MJX has a really nice shipping box. It kind of gives you confidence that when you open it up, you're not going to find anything damaged. So that's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed for. So let's flip this thing up and have a look. It's actually a really nice box. Too good to throw away. That's going to go under the house in storage. I'm sure we'll find some use. These nice release tabs over here. Pop them open. And there it is. So everything looks really nice. That is huge. That roof. I have a Rolalo MK07 and I have an MJX H8H, and I can tell you the width of this is in comparison to a Rolalo MK07. So that anyone who knows or owns one of those will give you an idea how wide this thing is. It does narrow down, obviously, you know, with the body contouring, but this section over here is definitely on par with a Rolalo for width from there to there. So let's have a look and see what we get inside. So here's some accessories. These look like side steps. You've got side steps, you've got the license plate, number plate, you've got the side mirrors. What else is in there? And then there's obviously like a wheel wrench there. Yeah, I don't think there's much more that I can see in there. Yeah, the number plate mounting bracket. So that's that part. It looks to be well packed in here. There's a bit of foam on the side there, just protecting it. We'll take that out. What else? We've got some foam on the side. I'm just wondering if it'll just slide out without the need for me messing around with that. Let's see. Is it going to come out? I don't want to be rough with anything. It's not, because there is a piece of foam over here that they've stuck for side to side. So let's see if I can get that out. If I can get that one out. Well, it's stuck in there with some sort of a glue, and it's a bit hard. I'll just pause and see if I can get it out. Alright, so there she is, taken out of the box. Looks really, really nice. I have to say, I wasn't planning on buying this, but it was on special and it was kind of too good to pass up. Plus, in all honesty, for me, it's not my particular favorite of the Toyotas, but I know it's a classic, and yeah, it does look pretty cool. It's really well built, and the interior is just amazing. Like the level of detail. I believe these open. You can open that, open the back. So let me get this box out of the way. So just before I close the lid, the controller, which is just very, very basic, but you know what? It's going to be just fine for what we need. Feels good. I haven't heard anything negative about these, so yeah. I mean, I've got some FMS FCX 10s, which have got different controllers, but yeah, from what's coming out with FMS at the moment, I have no doubts that that's going to be perfectly fine. Alright, so let's close this off and bring this back around and see what you get. Sorry about my terrible camera work, guys. Alright, so let's see what we get for our dollar. Okay, so door handles. Let's see if I can get this open. I don't want to break anything. I'm always really careful with it's got sticky tape there actually, so that was lucky I didn't yank on it too hard. Let me get that tape off. Alright, so I'll have to give that a little bit of a clean later because there's some residue there. But there's the door open there. The interior is just really, really nice. That's soft. It feels like some sort of a vinyl that they've used there, but the level of detail that's in there is just amazing. There's a close-up of the interior. Yeah, they've just done an amazing job. I mean, when you look at the door trims, you've got the winder handle over there, which looks like it actually moves a little bit, but obviously that's not going to go up and down. But yeah, they've really done a top job. Alright, so you've got your fuel cap over here, side marker lights. It's already got because it is a license, it's got the Toyota logo at the side there, which is great. It's got the hood catches there, so let's get the hood open. Right, so again, I've never done this before, and I don't want to break anything, so I'm just being really careful. I'm just wondering if that's already hooked up to some magnets inside. Right, so there is actually a little bit of tape on either side of the hood. So if you do buy one of these, it's, you know, if your eyes aren't that great like mine, I'm gonna have to clean that off with a little bit of alcohol wipe. Just be careful, otherwise you might break something by forcing it. Right, take two. Let's just see if this will open now. I'm not sure. I just want to be very careful. I don't want to force anything because I haven't watched a whole lot of videos on YouTube yet. Okay. So there she is. So let's see what we've got under the hood. So under the hood, you've got your 35 turn, and that's a brushed. I would assume it's a 5 slot, but I'll check the manual to see. It has your steering servo over here, which is yeah, it's a chassis mounted steering servo. This is kind of interesting. I don't know what that is, but there's something connected to the steering wheel over here. So yeah, I'll be very interested to read the manual and see what that's about, because there's obviously something going on there. Maybe, I don't know, I'm guessing if you put a driver in there and I don't know, maybe if the wheels are turned, it might set off the indicators. I don't know. I haven't seen anyone talk about that yet on a review, so I better do some research on that. There's your connector there, which I think that's the XT60. The ESC sitting up here looks like just a very basic, almost looks like a hobby wing ESC, but I'm going to again change that out, and I'm going to change this out and put in a Fusion. As I mentioned earlier, friction shocks, so it's very bouncy, but yeah, I actually thought there might be magnets there, but there's no magnets. It's just essentially these two holes here must fit very snugly in here, and it just seems to hold it in place, I'm assuming, because I can't see anything else there on how that's staying down, because there's like a little notch there and there, because these definitely, they're just ornamental. They do absolutely nothing, so you wouldn't want to yank on those. All right, let's get the hood back down. So here's the front view, and as you can see there, you can see the Toyota logo at the front, which looks absolutely awesome. I'm so glad that they got it licensed so they can do that. Love just everything, how they've done it, the level of detail, the bumper, and that actually feels quite solid for plastic. It feels quite solid. You can happily mount a winch over here if you wanted to, which wouldn't be too difficult, because even if you were going to run the standard controller, you can get these ones off AliExpress for about $25 that have got the key remote, and you can run them off the 2S or whatever battery that you're going to run. So let's take a look at the top. So as you can see, there's a huge roof rack. For me, the dilemma of pulling this off is just having those holes in the roof. You know, how do you eliminate that? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to buy some very light, you know, obviously fake luggage to go up here, so it's not going to affect the stability of it too much. But you know, I mean, this is a trail rig. It is definitely not going to be doing any serious crawling, but I think this just looks like a really fun rig just to take out and have some fun. Let's have a look around the back and see what we get. You've got the little bench seats in there, which looks awesome. And around the back, the number plate's already hooked up. There is a few badges and things like that go on. Yeah, just it's even got a tow bar there as well, which is interesting. Just plastic though, so I would swap that out and put like a steel one that you just pick up off AliExpress for a few bucks. Let me get this open and we'll see, because it's all packed with foam as you can see inside. I'm guessing that's just to protect the interior. Alright, so just a heads up again, there's a piece of tape here and a piece of tape here. You have to take that off first before you attempt to open the back door. If you don't, you may risk breaking something, so just be aware of that. I'm just going to pause the video and gently chip away at this, and we'll come back and open the back up and see the level of detail inside. Alright, so you can see the sticker residue there is a bit of a pain in the backside. I might have to clean that off. Let's see how this opens up. I just again want to be really cautious because I don't want to break anything. There's a little bit of that residue still hanging in there on this side over here actually. Let me see if I can get that out. Let's pop that back in. Alright, so I eventually got that sticker off. So there's the upper tailgate, and these ones should just swing open. Now I don't know if this is meant to turn or not. Again, I'm just being really careful because there's another bit of tape down here. So if your eyes are not good like mine, be very careful when you're unboxing this, because I could imagine if you yanked on any of these you would risk breaking something, like those latches and that would just snap off. So let's see if it opens up now. There's one, there's the other one, and there's all of our packed foam that they jam in there. I don't know actually why they would jam that in there, because I suppose maybe these seats might rattle around. I don't know. Let's take a closer look. How cool is that? The level of detail that they've used here is really amazing. There's no headliner there, but who cares? But the seats are awesome. I do believe that they do fold, because you can see down the bottom there that they can actually move, and they've got hinges as well. So these would fold up, and I guess you could put stuff in the back if you're inclined to do so. So there you go. So let's close up the back and have a look underneath and see what we've got. Okay, just a quick kind of warning to anyone. Maybe don't open these up too much, because there's a tiny tab there and a tiny tab there, and they really don't look like they're going to last if you kept opening and closing it all the time. So my advice to anyone that's purchased one of these, for the first time, for a novelty, open it up, but I would not be messing around with it, because the risk is once you stuff that up, this is always going to, it's not going to line up with the body lines and it's going to pop out. So just leave it alone, in my honest opinion. It's nice that it opens up, but as I say, you don't want to break it. Just holding it like that, it actually feels not too bad balanced. It feels a little bit more inclined, heavy at the front, and I guess, you know, through logic that would make sense because the motor's up there and the ESC. So yeah, let's have a look underneath as what we've got here. So some more foam shoved in. FMS have really gone to quite a lot of fuss to make sure that these are obviously packed, and so they're not going to get damaged in transport. So I'm going to get a bit of scissors and just cut that away, and then we'll have a look and see what's underneath. Just holding it like that, it actually feels not too bad balanced. It feels a little bit more inclined, heavy at the front, and I guess, you know, through logic that would make sense because the motor's up there and the ESC. So yeah, let's have a look underneath as what we've got here. So some more foam shoved in. FMS have really gone to quite a lot of fuss to make sure that these are obviously packed, and so they're not going to get damaged in transport. So I'm going to get a bit of scissors and just cut that away, and then we'll have a look and see what's underneath. Okay. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's take a look at what you get underneath. So, as mentioned, the suspension, stock suspension, is purely, it's not oil-filled shocks. So, but they don't feel too bad. They're just a little bit bouncy for my liking. So, and the other thing that I can see, and I'm hoping it's not the case, let's have a look. I wish I had better light. I'm hoping they're Allen keys there, or hex heads that you can just unscrew. I'd hate to have to struggle to get them out, but as I mentioned, I've got some oil-filled shocks to go in there that are going to fit perfectly. I think from memory these are meant to be 170 millimeter, but I'll check. The drive shaft itself is plastic. What else? The links are definitely metal. The chassis rail is definitely metal. There's obviously no need for fender wells and things like that, because this is just one solid molded body. So other than the, you know, even the front over here, I have seen some guy made some for the front, and they look quite nice. And I guess, you know, if you really want to do that, you could. So what else have we got here? Front end looks pretty good. These tires obviously are the fake Hyrax. They look like they're 120 millimeters on 1.9 rims. They're nice and soft. So I've actually bought plenty of these off AliExpress, and they do a really good job anyway. So it's just a shame that they've been glued on there, because it'd be nice to take them off and put them on a different set of rims. But you know what? I mean, I guess I just keep them for a different project. But yeah, they don't feel like they're vented. I can't hear any air pushing out, so they definitely don't feel like they're vented. What else? The on-off switch is under the hood, and that's about it, guys. I mean, you know, for what it is, I just think it's really, really nice. Interesting to see this over here. I don't know if you can see that. There's like a metal rod that is, sorry about my terrible camera work, that is running from here across here, and it's interesting. I'm just wondering what purpose that would serve, because yeah, I'll have to do a little bit more digging into that and see what that's about. Not really sure. I do intend to take these off and see how well they've lubricated. So in fact, let me go get my screwdrivers and we'll take off the diff cover and see if FMS have lubed these up properly, because my experience so far from not just FMS, I'm just talking about Element and Traxxas and Axial, they all seem to lack in the area of lubing up the differentials. So let's take a look. Shout out to Cross RC. I have to say, I've bought 3 Cross RCs, and they are really, really good in the way that they provide accessories. I mean, I got a full set of screwdrivers, hex screwdrivers, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what these would cost in a shop, but they're really, really good quality. So if you ever buy a cross RC, you know you're going to get the extra little goodies as well, which is nice. And I've used these on so many different RC builds and maintenance and things like that. So yeah, they're really, really good. So let's just take a quick look in here and see what we get. Have they done a good job in ensuring that the differentials have got enough lubrication? Now the other thing I want to see is if we can get a skid plate on there, because I have got a spare one. I'll see if I can custom fit it. One more to go. Just over here. Now just while I'm doing this, actually, I did mention earlier that there is a FMS leaf spring kit that you can get for this. Well, look at that, guys. Now, that is what I'm talking about. Come on, FMS. Seriously. I mean, that's destined for failure. You know, you can't send stuff out like that. That's just going to not last. So if FMS, you're watching this, you need to do something about that, because as someone who spends a lot of money on RCs, that's really disappointing. So I hope that at least some RC manufacturer takes note of what I've just shown. And that wasn't set up or staged at all. That was just me thinking, let's have a look and see if it's actually lubed up. And this, I have to say, is the worst I've ever seen any differential. There's absolutely no lubrication in there at all. Zero. You know, not even like a little dab. So obviously I'm going to lube that up. I'll do the front, and yeah, let's see. Now the other thing, there is a leaf spring kit that you can get, which I'm very keen to put on here because I think it would just give it that true FJ-40 Land Cruiser look, more scale, and yeah, it didn't look too complicated to fit. So when I get that, I'll do a separate video on how you would fit that. Alright, so if you're wondering what type of grease you could use in this, I would recommend personally, just any wheel bearing grease is fine. This is automotive wheel bearing grease you can just pick up at your auto parts store. You only need a smidgen of it. I wouldn't recommend putting Vaseline in there, and the reason being is when Vaseline gets really hot, it basically just runs into like liquid. So you can imagine if you're out on a trail on a hot day, it's just going to drip, and it's just going to soak through. And obviously when you're out there and there's dust and dirt, it's going to pick up on the outside and make a mess underneath. Whereas with this, the likelihood of this actually melting on a hot day is very, very minimal, because of the temperatures that are going to be generated while you're trailing this is not going to be anything like what an actual car's wheel bearing temperatures are going to be experiencing on the freeway, at 60 kilometers or 100 kilometers now on the freeway, 60, on a road or whatever. So without too much jabbering on, I'll just open this and get some grease out and pop a smidgen in there and close it up and move on. So I would just put just a tiny little bit like that is absolutely fine, because once that starts to move around, that's going to be absolutely fine. And you could in fact pop a little bit in the diff cover as well if you really wanted to. I think the amount there actually is more than enough, so I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to just leave that alone, pop this back, like that. Get myself a tissue for my fingers and we'll start screwing this back in. Okay, so we're almost there. Just always remember, with anything plastic, do not over tighten it. So as soon as you feel it getting tight, just go a little bit above hand tight. The risk is if you over tighten it, you're going to strip it, and if you strip it, then you're going to have to use something to get that thread to secure. So that rear diff is now done. So let's turn this thing around and get the front done. I'm just mindful because it wants to just nose off like that in front of me. So let's get something underneath there. So if it does decide to do that, it's not going to run away on me. What have we got? Maybe I can use that. That's better. That feels a bit more secure. So let's turn this box around so you can see what I'm doing. Let's get this front cover off. Should be able to get it off without the need for taking that link off there. I'll just pause this while I undo this. Alright, so all 4 of the screws are undone. I'm just going to pop this out. And there we have it. Exactly the same on the front as the rear. Zero lubrication there. So just to show you what I'm talking about, I mean, that's just disgusting, I have to say. Like, the fact that they could send it out like that. Whoever's on the assembly line, I think, needs a new occupation because, I mean, come on, guys. I mean, how much is a dollop of grease going to cost you in the big scheme of things? Yeah, not good. So let's pop some grease on there. Sorry about my camera work. I am just working on a table here, so it's not ideal conditions. And I was keen just to unbox this thing because when I ordered it, the seller actually didn't reply back to me, and then I sent an email through and then suddenly it appeared. So there we go. There's our dollop for the front. Because I've got a little bit extra in here, I'm going to pop it in the diff cap. Pop that in there like that. Just get a tissue and wipe off any excess on the edge so we don't make a mess everywhere. These diff covers look like they're just, doesn't matter which way you put them, you could put them, yeah, there's no specific way. So the good thing is if you take it out, you're not going to mess it up by putting it back the wrong way. The holes will line up. So that just goes click in there like that. And let's get our screwdriver and start putting this back. Now this is, as you can see, probably, without having to film and all of that, you could do this in under 10 minutes. And for the sake of just spending that little bit of extra effort, you could save yourself, pulling out the diff and perhaps having to replace the pinion or the ring gear or the bearings, whatever it may be. So definitely worth that little bit of extra effort just to lube up the differential while you haven't taken it out for a first run. The other thing that I have heard of is that the steering servo horn has come loose for a few people, so I'm going to actually undo the Phillips head in a moment, and I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite in there and then pop it back on. You don't want to put a heap of Loctite, because if you ever have to replace that, the last thing you want to do is be struggling to get it out. So just put enough just so it actually secures it and gets the job done. So again, when I'm doing these up, I'm not over tightening them. I'm just going slightly tight and then just a tiny bit above hand tight. That's it. No need to go berserk with these kind of things, because if you do, all you're going to do is you're going to strip it out and you're going to be pretty frustrated with yourself when you do that. So that's now done. The next job that we've got is this little Phillips head screw over here apparently comes loose. I don't know about this one over here. I haven't heard anything about that. I'm pretty sure it's this one here. So I'm going to undo that and put a tiny bit of Loctite on there. So I just want to show you, I actually just popped a Phillips head screwdriver on there, and I just didn't even have to turn it, and it just came loose. So again, FMS, what are you doing? Seriously. So I'm going to undo that and pop a little bit of Loctite on there, and that will fix that problem. Alright, so I've put my Loctite there. I'm not going to over tighten that. Why? Because once that Loctite sets, it's going to be like super glue, and the next time you want to replace your steering servo or whatever, the last thing you want to do is be fighting to get that out. I mean, obviously you might put on a new servo steering horn, but you may want to reuse the original. I don't know, but why create problems for yourself, I say. So all in all, that as it is right now, I'd be comfortable to put a battery in it and to take it out on a trail, because I know I've checked the diffs, I fixed up the known problem with the steering horn there. The shocks and that, I think I can do at a later date as a separate video, because let's see, I'll take off one wheel and let's see how they're secured on there. I'm just curious. Let's have a look. I wasn't planning on doing this, but you know what, while I'm filming, let's have a quick look and see how... Ooh, I heard something drop. Don't know what it was, but we'll find out soon enough. Alright. There's a washer there. How's that? Never seen that before. Oh, you know what I lost? The pin fell in there. Okay. Easy done, because the 12 millimeter hex is over here. So there it is there. And the pins drop down into the body, I can see. So anyway, I'll come and get that. Let's have a look here. That does look like they're in there with hex, which is a hex screwdriver, which is not as bad as I thought it would be. Yeah, so that should be pretty easy to undo. I'll show you the shocks that I've got that I'm planning on putting in there, and I think they're just going to fit perfectly. Alright, so these are the shocks that I had anyway, and I think they're going to work perfect. They're made by JMRC Hobby. You can get these off AliExpress. And from memory, I think they cost me about, I don't know, $16 or $17 for the set. And they look decent. Like, they're oil filled, and they don't look cheap. So, I don't know, let's try and quickly put one on and see. So here's another shot. So they're definitely oil filled, because I can feel it, and they are adjustable, which is nice, and they look to be the perfect length as well. If you look at that, that's spot on. So yeah, let's get this thing hooked up and see what it looks like. There is a bit of tension there when you undo this on the upper one, but the lower one seems to be pretty easy to get out. So let's see. Alright, so we'll keep our screw there. there's a screw for bottom. So that's going to go in like that. Let's see. I'll just start that and then I'll hook up the top and see if it's going to work rather than hoping that it's going to work out. Seems to be okay. Let's get this back through here. That's got to go through there, that through there. Let's get this one done. I'm just going to come around here. Sorry about my camera work, folks. And remember again, don't over tighten these things. Even though that's going into metal, the last thing you want to do is over tighten it and stuff something up. So I'm just being very careful just to make sure that's right. Okay, so that looks good. Just got to bring this one through. Oop, done like that. See what was happening there. So it looks like what we're going to need is I'm going to have to pop that out from there and then put it into this one here to get the right distance there. So let me pause, oops. Let me pause this and show you what I'm going to do. Alright, so what I've done is I've taken, sorry about my camera work, I've taken the eyelet out of the replacement one. And I've taken the original eyelet out of the, this is the replacement, this is the original. And what I'm going to do is press that eyelet from the original through the replacement and hopefully it might work. I don't know, but we do need that because we need the spacing. If this doesn't work, then what you'd need to do is set up some sort of a spacer there, because if I show you the difference, it's quite significant. Alright, because my hands are not really going to do this proper justice, that is on the replacement, and the original, you can see, is way wider. So that's why if you can't get it to work through here, then you would have to work out a spacer. So you'd have to create some sort of a shim to work in there. Okay, so thankfully that's actually worked. So there's the original gone into the replacement. So now we're going to have the correct spacing. So now I can reassemble that and we should be in business. So let me get my screwdriver on my hex driver, get the bottom started, and then we'll get the top one in position. Alright, so this has got to pop through here, got to go through the eyelet, and then we've got, and I will show you a close-up of this once I've got it back in here. Wow, it's really snug, so I can see why you'd have to get the original sorted out back in there, because without that it would just be flopping around. Alright, I can feel that working. That top one is now tight. And then obviously after you do this, you've got to rinse and repeat with the other three. So I will quickly show you this, and then I might do the other three, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's done. But again, this is just spontaneous. I haven't planned this. And again, I didn't even buy these shocks for this. I just happened to buy them for a different project, and they were too small, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to use that down the track somewhere, and sure enough, there you have it. So let me just bring the camera around so you can see exactly what I've done. So there's our replacement, and you can see here that you have to swap out the eyelet from the original, otherwise that would just slosh around in there, and you don't want that. That's like original now. It's not going to move anywhere, and you can see it's exactly the same as on the other side. So in terms of how it feels, that feels really good compared to this, which is just really sloppy. But that feels like it's got proper, it just feels like it's not going to give you that stiff, it's not too rigid, and it's not going to be too soft. These ones over here, even though they're friction and they are not bad for what they are, for me they're too soft. I've seen so many videos of these, and I don't know, I don't like the look. I think this would also provide a bit more stability on the trails as well, so it's not going to be tipping over. So looking forward to that. So I'm going to pause the video, do the other three, and then I'll show you the finished product, and we'll go from there. Alright, so there's the finished result. Pretty easy. That took me about 15 minutes to do that, I reckon, in total. It's pretty easy. Just, as I say, just got to make sure that you swap out the eyelets from the originals and put it onto the replacements. They definitely feel a heap better than the original ones. Let's flip this over and we'll see. So there she is. Still got heaps of body roll. So you can see by having the oil-filled shocks, it just gives it a bit more dampening. The rears, I can see, are a bit soft, but once I get the leaf spring kit in there, that should kind of balance itself out. But yeah, like, I'm pretty happy with that. That's really nice. So I really hope you enjoyed this unboxing, and kind of random, really. I just did everything really random, but I mean, that's kind of the way that I roll, because I just find myself so busy. I've got so many projects that I've got on the go that yeah, it's hard to kind of plan things out. I wish I could make the channel a bit more professional, but you know, this also in a way is good, because it just goes to show that, you know, you don't have to be have a really professional setup and stuff to do things you know, properly, and to, you know, enjoy the hobby. So before I head off, I'll just give you a quick tour of some of my cars that are just sitting there. Some I haven't reviewed yet that I will, but yeah, and I've just got a ton in boxes. So there's a lot more videos to come. I really hope you enjoyed this, and if you did enjoy, like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Right, so as we head off, there's my Rolalo Mark 7. I've done a little bit of work to it. I've put some badges on there, which you can't really see properly. There is the MJX H8H ready to go out on its test run. The Rolalo is ready to go out on its test run. Over there is a Cross RC Cougar, which again I haven't featured, but that's ready to go. There's my that's my newbie over there, which is the Cross RC X Emo X4. So again, I've got to feature that one. And then over in the corner there is my Cross RC. That is an X3 pickup, tow truck, ready to go. Up there is my Huangbo, which is basically a copy of the Traxxas, and that one I've already featured. It actually has not been out on an official proper test run. I build these things and I want to get around to doing stuff, but I just get so busy, and you can see parts building up on the ground over here. And where I started, the humble little ZP series from, I think the WL Toys, I'm not sure. But, you know, that's how I started getting back in the hobby. And then over here, hidden away, is my original 1980s Monster Beetle. This was what got me into RC way back when I was 21 years old. So that still goes. And then over here, this is another project in the works, which is my Hilux. It's already got a Hobby Wing Fusion SE in there. As you can see, I put in the roll bar and, you know, put on the wheels, and it's going to get there. And then last but not least, over here hiding away, which hasn't even seen the light of day, is my this one. Oh gosh, I've been mental blank by the manufacturer, but it is Red Cat. Can't believe that I forgot that. But Red Cat, again, that's a whole other project. I just took it out of the box and it's just been sitting in plastic, and I've got to put in the servos, so it's got the lift kit in there. But yeah, just time to do everything. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I shall see you guys on a future episode. Hopefully not too far in the distant future, depending on how everything goes. So, yep. Enjoy RCing, guys, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.